In the bustling heart of New York City, where skyscrapers pierced the sky like ambitious dreams, a sleek black limousine pulled up outside a rundown orphanage on the edge of Brooklyn. Inside the car sat Alexander Voss, a self-made millionaire whose fortune in tech startups had made him one of the wealthiest men in America. But on this rainy afternoon, as he stepped out to fulfill a routine charity visit, he had no idea that a single sentence from a young girl would shatter his carefully constructed world. "This boy lives in my orphanage," she said softly, pointing to a faded photograph in her hand, her voice trembling with a mix of innocence and quiet desperation. Little did Alexander know, that boy in the photo was the ghost of his past, and the truth behind those words would unravel everything he thought he knew about love, loss, and family. If you're just tuning in, hit that like button if stories of heartbreak and redemption move you, and don't forget to subscribe for more tales that dive deep into the human soul, because you never know when one might change your perspective forever. Alexander Voss had built his empire from nothing. Born to immigrant parents in a cramped apartment, he lost them young in a tragic car accident, fueling a relentless drive that turned him into a billionaire by 40. But success came at a cost, a string of failed marriages, distant relationships, and a hollow mansion overlooking Central Park. He donated millions to orphanages like this one, St. Mary's Home for Children, as a way to give back, or perhaps to fill the void left by the child he never had. Or so he told himself. Deep down, Alexander harbored a secret regret. 20 years ago, in a moment of youthful recklessness, he had fathered a son with his college sweetheart, Elena. They were too young, too broke, and when Elena vanished one night, taking their unborn child with her, Alexander searched for months before giving up, burying the pain under layers of work and wealth. As he toured the orphanage that day, guided by the kindly director, Mrs. Hargrove, Alexander's eyes wandered to a group of children playing in the courtyard. Among them was a teenage girl, no older than 16, with tangled brown hair and eyes that held the weight of too many hardships. Her name was Lila, and she had been at St. Mary's since she was 5, abandoned by parents lost to addiction. Lila was the quiet protector of the younger kids, especially a boy named Tommy, who at 10 years old had the same sharp blue eyes and unruly dark hair that Alexander saw in old photos of himself. Tommy was new to the orphanage, arriving just months ago after his mother, Elena, passed away from illness, leaving no family behind. Or so the record said. Lila noticed Alexander staring at Tommy during the tour. She approached him hesitantly, clutching an old, wrinkled photo she kept hidden in her pocket, a picture of Tommy as a baby, given to her by Elena in her final days. Elena had become like a surrogate mother to Lila in the brief time they crossed paths at a shelter. "This boy lives in my orphanage," Lila said, her voice barely above a whisper as she held out the photo. Alexander froze, his hand trembling as he took it. The resemblance was uncanny, but he brushed it off as coincidence. "He's just a kid here," Lila continued, her eyes pleading. "But he needs more than this place. He's smart, kind, he deserves a real home." Alexander nodded politely, but inside, a storm brewed. Why did this girl seem so invested? And why did that photo stir memories he'd long suppressed? That night, back in his penthouse, Alexander couldn't sleep. He pored over old letters from Elena, the ones he'd kept in a locked drawer. One mentioned a baby boy, born in secret, named Thomas after Alexander's late father. The pieces didn't fit, yet. Driven by an inexplicable pull, he hired a private investigator the next morning. Days turned into weeks as the investigation unfolded, revealing Elena's hidden life. After leaving Alexander, fearing his ambitious world would swallow their child, she raised Tommy alone in poverty, working odd jobs until cancer claimed her. In her will, she left a clue, a DNA sample and a letter confessing Tommy was Alexander's son. But the orphanage had no knowledge of this. Elena had died before formalizing adoption papers. Meanwhile, at St. Mary's, Lila faced her own battles. She had grown up fending for herself, learning to read from borrowed books and dreaming of becoming a teacher to help kids like her. But the orphanage was underfunded, threatened with closure due to city budget cuts. Lila organized small fundraisers, bake sales, car washes, with the other kids, but it was never enough. Tommy became her little brother in spirit. She read him stories at night, helped with homework, and shielded him from bullies. "You're not alone, Tommy," she'd say, hugging him tight. "We'll find a way out of here together." Tommy, shy and artistic, drew pictures of families he imagined, always including Lila. But whispers of the orphanage shutting down filled him with fear. "What if they separate us?" he asked Lila one evening, tears in his eyes. Alexander's investigator confirmed the truth. DNA tests matched. Tommy was his son. The revelation hit like a tidal wave. Devastated, Alexander paced his office, memories flooding back, of Elena's laughter, their stolen moments, the life he could have had. Guilt consumed him. He had abandoned the search too soon, built walls instead of bridges. "How could I not know?" he whispered to his empty room. But devastation turned to determination. He visited the orphanage again, this time with purpose. Confronting Mrs. Hargrove, he demanded to see Tommy's files. The director, sensing the gravity, revealed Elena's letter. "If Alexander ever finds you, tell him I forgive him. But make him earn it." The challenge was clear. Alexander couldn't just swoop in with money, he had to prove he was worthy of being a father. His first meetings with Tommy were awkward, stilted conversations over ice cream, where Tommy eyed him warily. "Why do you care now?" the boy asked, echoing Elena's unspoken accusations. Lila, ever protective, inserted herself into the mix. "He's not some prize you can buy," she told Alexander bluntly during a private talk. "Tommy's been through enough. If you're here for real, show it." Her words stung, but they awakened something in Alexander. He began volunteering at the orphanage, not as a donor, but as a helper, fixing leaky roofs, tutoring kids, sharing stories of his own orphaned youth. As weeks passed, bonds formed. Alexander learned Tommy's favorite books, adventure tales like Harry Potter, his dreams of becoming an artist, and his quiet grief over losing his mom. Lila, initially skeptical, saw Alexander's vulnerability, the man behind the suit, haunted by regrets. She shared her own story, orphaned young, bouncing between foster homes until St. Mary's became her sanctuary. "We all have scars," she said one rainy afternoon as they painted murals with the kids. "But family isn't about blood, it's about who stays." Alexander nodded, tears welling. "I want to stay," he replied. Yet challenges mounted. Legal hurdles arose, proving paternity required court battles, and a rival developer eyed the orphanage land for condos, pressuring the city to close it. Alexander could have bought the property outright, but he chose a harder path, rallying the community. With Lila's help, they organized a massive fundraiser, a gala blending tech innovators and local artists. Tommy's drawings became the centerpiece, symbolizing hope. Tensions peaked when an old associate of Alexander's leaked his past, painting him as an absentee father in the tabloids. Devastated again, Alexander nearly withdrew, but Tommy's words stopped him. "Mom said everyone deserves a second chance. Don't give up on us." The gala was a triumph. Funds poured in, saving the orphanage. In court, Alexander's genuine transformation swayed the judge. Custody was granted, but with a twist. He adopted not just Tommy, but committed to mentoring Lila, funding her education. As they left the courthouse, Lila hugged them both. "This boy lives in my orphanage," she said with a smile, echoing her first words, "but now he has a home, and so do I." Years later, Alexander, Tommy, and Lila formed an unbreakable family. Tommy thrived as an artist, Lila became a teacher, and Alexander shifted his empire toward philanthropy, creating programs for lost children. The truth that once devastated him became his salvation, teaching that redemption blooms from pain, and true wealth lies in the hearts we heal. If this story touched you, smash that like button and subscribe. We've got more inspiring tales coming your way. Remember, no matter your past, it's never too late to build the family you deserve.